So we're in the month of Av, which seemingly is a negative month. When you tell people about the month of Av, oh, it has a negative connotation, Tisha B'Av, the destruction, and many bad things have happened in the month of Av. But really, when you're looking at the month, it's only the beginning of the month that is supposedly negative, but the rest of the month is actually positive. And there are 2 dates in the year that our sages say that we never had such great days, and one of them is Yom Kippurim, and the other one is the 15th day of Av, Tu B'Av. That these are the 2 days of atonement, 2 days that are very, very powerful in our calendar. Besides the fact that our sages and some of the prophets said that these days will transform to become days of celebration. In the near future, when Mashiach is going to come, Tisha B'Av is going to be a day of celebration. And all the fasts that we commemorate the destruction or bad things that happen will turn to a positive day. So really the month of Av seems to be negative, but if you're looking in a very deep way, it's actually a very positive month. Now, why the first month of the half is the negative part, and the second month of the half, the second half of the month is positive? So we know that every month is controlled by a certain planet. The month of Av is controlled by the planet, by the sun. And the month of Tammuz, last month, we learned that the month is controlled by the moon. All the other months are controlled by, they're sharing a planet. The month of Tammuz and the month of Av, they're only controlled by one planet, which is Tammuz is the moon and Av is the sun. They don't share a month. All the other months, they share a planet. And the reason why the first part of the month is very, very, so to say, on the exterior is very negative is because it's controlled by the sun. Now the sun, in one way, can be very healing. The word sun comes from the word in Hebrew, shemesh. But the word shemesh comes from the word leshamesh, to serve. Now the sun also has another name in Hebrew, it's called chama. Chama comes from the attribute of cham, of heat. That's already the negative part of the sun that can actually damage and to burn. But the beginning part of the month, it's the sun that is in control. And since it's very, very powerful, then anything that is powerful, if you're taking it to the negative side, is going to be very destructive. If you take, for example, a car compared to a bike, then a bike, chas v'shalom, there's an accident, it's not so bad. In a car, it's already a serious damage. And if you compare a truck to a car, then a truck is much more powerful. The more powerful it is, yes, on the positive side, it will benefit you much more. But on the negative side, the more powerful it is, then if chas v'shalom it's used in a negative way, then it will be much more severe. So the sun is very, very powerful. If it's used in a very negative way, it can damage severely. But on the other hand, if the sun is used in the right way, our source of energy is the sun. And very soon when Mashiach is going to come, the source of energy will only be the sun. We're not going to have oil, and we're not going to create energy from oil or coal. We're going to create energy, either hydraulic energy or from the sun, solar energy. Now we're kind of damaging the earth with digging into the earth and taking out all the oil and the coils and coal and all sorts of natural resources from the earth, and we're ruining it. In the very near future, when Mashiach is going to come, our energy will be done mainly solar energy, and also now they're starting to develop it is energy from power from hydraulic, from using very powerful streams of rivers. They're not doing it now in the United States with Niagara Falls and many other rivers that they use the hydraulic power to create energy. But the sun is the source of energy, the main source of energy. Since the sun is so powerful, then also in the negative way, it manifests into the world that the first part of the month seems to be very destructive and very negative, but really we're going to talk about today how the essence of it is a very positive thing. The other reason why the first part of the month is a severe and negative month is because the sign of the month is a lion, a Leo. And the Leo also, first of all, the Leo represents severity, Gvura. And the Leo is the sign of fire. When they had the sacrifices on the altar and the fire came down from the sky to consume it, it was in a shape of a lion. Amazingly, we're going to talk in the class after that, when it comes to the month of Av, the prophecy of Yechezkel, of Ezekiel, is talking about the chariot. And in the chariot is describing also in part of it the chair that Hashem is sitting on, the throne. And each corner has a different face. One face is a lion, the other corner is an eagle, another face is a bull, and the fourth one is the face of a human. But the lion is on the front right, which is actually representing kindness, chesed. So the essence of the severity of the lion is kindness, is chesed. But really the lion, when it manifests into the world, comes from the side of gvura, of severity, and that also is represented by the fire. So we see that the beginning of the month seems very, very negative, but after that the month becomes more positive. In the book of Formation, Sefer Yetzirah, it's explaining that the letter that is used to create the month is the letter Tet, which is actually a very positive letter, and the letter that is used to create the sun is the letter Kaf, which is also a very positive letter. The two combinations of these two very positive letters. In the Sfirot, the Kaf represents and comes from the Sfirah of Keter, and the letter Tet comes from the Sfirah of Yesod. The Yesod is the foundation. Through that foundation, all the energy, all the abundance that come through all the Sfirot, they have to funnel into the sixth Sfirah of the Midot that is called Yesod, the foundation, which through this Sfirah we get the entire sustenance into this world, to the Sfirah of Malchut. So both of them are very positive letters. Either way, it doesn't matter if you put the Tet first or the Kaf first, they're very positive letters. Now, the Tet comes from the word Tov, good. And really, the entire essence of the month is good. It's a very good month. It seems like a very negative month, but this is one thing we're going to talk about today, and also in the class later, how on the external part, everything seems very negative. But really, when you look at something, you can see the good in everything. And that's the essence of this month, is that there is a lot of good in this month. Now, the middle of the month is a very auspicious day, which is the 15th day of Av. It's called Tu B'Av. It's our Jewish Valentine's. It's called Chag HaAhava, the holiday of love, where our sages say that in the olden days, the women, the single women of course, they used to switch dresses, and they would go out to the fields dressed all nice, and the men would come and see them, and Baruch Hashem would be a very good date for shiduchim, for going out. And this is called the date of love, the holiday of love, I'm sorry. And the reason why it's such a powerful day, that our sages in the Talmud says, Lo yamim tovim b'Yisrael ke Tu B'Av and Yom Kippurim, there were not greater days for the Jews for the 15th day of Av and Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement. The reason why it's such a special day is because the first part of the month is controlled by the sun, and the second part of the month is controlled by the moon. But the place where they meet, the sun is at its most powerful time, and the moon, it's in the most powerful states. So when they meet together, it's two opposites. And when two opposites meet together, that's the most auspicious time for the unity. That's why it's also set to be the day of love, the holiday of love. Because the husband and wife, it's two opposites. I have a student now that I'm helping him, guiding him through his period of dating, Be'ezrat Hashem, his future wife. And he's constantly asking, what should I look in my wife, in this girl? I mean, seems like everything is good. She's attractive, she's smart, she's polite. And I keep telling you, you have to look in what's the opposite of you. And if you see very strongly what's the opposite of you in her, then you know this is a very good match. If it's too parallel, that's not good. It has to be a unity. When two opposites come together and they create a unity, that's the ultimate sign of unity and love. So, and again, the Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av, it's called Tu B'Av because the way how we write 15 in the numerical value in the letters, we don't write the Yud Hey, Chas V'Shalom. We don't do that. Rather, the first day of the month is Aleph, then Bet is the second day. When we come to 14, we write Yud Daled. But when it's 15, we don't write Yud and K because we don't want to signify the two letters together. Same thing with the 16. We don't write Yud and Vav. We write Tet Vav and Tet Zayin. So even how you read the date is Tu B'Av, is Tet and then Vav, which is the beginning of the word Tov. So the entire month is around this word Tov. Tov is good in Hebrew. Now, there's a pasuk that says Hashem Tov u'metiv lakol. We find in many verses that Hashem is good. But there's a certain verse that it says Hashem Tov, Hashem is good, u'metiv lakol, and He only does good with everybody. Hashem doesn't do anything bad. A lot of people say, I have a bad situation right now, Hashem is punishing me. Or why is Hashem being so mean to me? As Hashem is mean. Not too long ago, somebody, unfortunately, they suffered a death, and she was very upset, and she kept saying, Hashem is punishing me. And I didn't want to say it because it wasn't the appropriate time. She was just mourning now her husband, but I wanted to say, all your life you never believed in Hashem. You're not observant. You don't keep the Torah and the mitzvot. And suddenly when you suffer a loss, suddenly Hashem is mean. So Hashem exists in your life. Why didn't He exist in your life in the last 40 years? Only when now, unfortunately, when you suffer a loss, then suddenly Hashem is mean. Now, Chas v'Shalom, lo aleinu, they suffered another problem. So she said again, Hashem is punishing me. I said, again you believe in Him. So you believe in Him when things are bad, when everything is smooth, and He's giving you your sustenance, and your kids, and your health, and an apartment, and a job, then He doesn't exist. But Chas v'Shalom, when something bad happens, suddenly Hashem is punishing me, and Hashem is mean. So unfortunately, many people attribute the negative things to Hashem, and the positive things, then Hashem is not there. I mentioned on Friday, I don't know if some of you get the messages that I send on Friday, but I mentioned a story, and I'll repeat it for the ones who didn't hear it, is that there was once a very rich man that climbed on a tower. And when he reached to the roof, as he goes out to the roof, the door slams behind him and he gets stuck on the roof. And he's starting to push the door, and the door is locked, and he's stuck now on the roof. So he goes to the edge and he looks down and he starts screaming, help, help. He's so high up, nobody's hearing him. He doesn't know what to do. He's screaming, help, I'm stuck on the roof, help. After an hour of screaming, he lost his voice already. He says, okay, how am I going to get people's attention? He puts his hands in his pockets, and there's a bunch of coins. So he takes a coin and he throws it down. The coin falls on the floor. Nothing. He ran out of coins. He puts his hand in his pocket, and all he finds is bills. He pulls out the pile of the bills, and he's like, okay, I'm going to throw the small bill. So he takes $1 out and throws it down. And the dollar goes with the wind and up, falls on the ground. And a person walks and, hey, look, $1. Picks up the dollar, and he walks off. And the guy's like, hello, hello. And he throws another $1. And the dollar flies down and falls on the ground. Another person passes, looks down, hey, look, $1. And he keeps on going and he's screaming, hello. So he ran out of dollar bills, so he started throwing the $5 bills, the $10 bills, the $20 bills. Then he got left only with the $100 bills. But, he was stuck there. Then I guess it's going to cost me money. So he throws a $100 bill. Then the dollar bill slowly falls down and falls on the ground. And a person comes and, wow, look, $100. Puts it in his pocket and keeps on walking. And he's like, oh my gosh, and he's screaming, help. And he throws all his $100 bills, and everybody takes the bill, puts it in their pocket, and goes. Nobody bothers to look up. He ran out of bills, so what now is left? So he took a little rock. There was a rock on the floor. He took the rock and he threw it from the roof, and the rock hit somebody on the head. Aye! Then they looked up. What are you doing? You're out of your mind when you're throwing rocks on me. So the story comes to tell us that when everything is good in our life, when we find $100 bills on the floor, we don't look up thinking that somebody from above threw it. We just, oh look, I found $100. I found a job, I found a house, I found a wife, everything. Oh, hey, look, I found. But when something bad happens and Hashem throws a stone from the sky and suddenly it hits me, then I look up and start complaining, why are you throwing things on me from above? So when things are good, we don't attribute it to Hashem, and that Hashem is, all the good that happens to me comes from Hashem. When something bad pitom happens, oh, that's when I suddenly look up and I start complaining. So really, everything that Hashem does for us is good. Tov Hashem lakol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Hashem is good for everybody, for everything. Everything that He does is good, and everything that He does is coming with a lot of mercy. V'rachamav al kol ma'asav. We just don't see the good in everything. We tend to see something in a very external way. But really, Hashem is good, and everything is good. And this is represented with this letter Tet. So I told you we have two letters. We have the Tet and we have the Kaf. But the Tet is representing the word Tov. And Tov is good. And the first time that we find the word Tov in the Torah is when Hashem saw the light. Vayar Hashem ki Tov. And He took the light, this godly light, and He concealed it. This is not the light from the sun. This is the light that was created on the first day of creation. The sun was created on the fourth day. But this light that was created on the first day, this is a very special light. It's called Or HaGanuz, the concealed light, that Hashem took it aside and hid it. And He's going to bring it again out to the world, La'atid Lavo, in a very near future, and He's going to be giving it to the tzaddikim. But really the first time that we saw the word Tov in the Torah is when Hashem looked at the light, Vayar Hashem ki Tov, and Hashem saw that the light is good. Now, the word good and the letter Tet always will come together. We see something amazing that in the 10 Commandments, it's separated into 2 tablets. In the first part of the tablets, you're not going to find the letter Tet in all the commandments, in the 5 commandments of the first tablets. Go through it, you'll find all the letters but the letter Tet. Because Hashem says Tet is the Tov, is good. I know the tablets will break, therefore I cannot put the letter Tet in it, because if not they will not break. So the first set, the first 5 of the commandments, the first tablet doesn't have the letter Tet in it. And you can go and look in Parashat Yitro and read the 10 commandments. You'll see in the first 5 there's no letter Tet. But in the second tablets there is the letter Tet in one place which says Leman Yitav Lach, that it should be good for you. That's when we find the letter Tet in the 10 commandments. So the letter Tet is a very concealing letter. Even in the shape of the Tet, we make it like a circle that goes inside itself, something that represents what's inside. Meaning that whatever is concealed, I should say the other way around, whatever is good will always be concealed. What we see good is not necessarily the ultimate good, it's just a cover that looks good. But ultimately, everything in its essence is very, very positive and very, very good. It's just concealed. And You know, it says in the Zohar that everything that we look upon, everything that we look has an external part and has an internal part. The internal part is not revealed, it's always concealed. That's why we judge things by its cover. You can look at something from the outside and it would look very, very good, but the inside is very, very cheap. That's something that's in our generation very common. On the outside, everything looks very good. And then you use it for a day or two and it breaks, until you find out that it's made in China. And you know, okay, this is on the outside is very, very nice, but the inside is cheap, it's junk. Unfortunately, everything in this world has something. You can look at the exterior part of it and you can look at the interior. Most people, they just look at the exterior. We don't look at the interior. And the Zohar explains that there are two types of good in the world. The good that is very revealed and the good that is not revealed. You can look at something like a fruit and the fruit would look very luscious and very tasty and beautiful color. This is a very revealed good. But then you can take a zucchini or a lettuce, a leaf of spinach. It doesn't look so good, but the inside, the essence of it is very nutritious and very, very good. And this is just one example with the good that is revealed and the good that is not revealed. But the Zohar explains that the letter Tet represents the good that is not revealed. And in essence, everything is the goodness of Hashem. Now, we are commemorating in the first part of the month the destruction of the temple, which we attributed to something very, very negative. But really, the reason why the temple was destroyed, besides the sins that the Jews were doing, but it was mainly destroyed from one main thing, is Ekev asher lo avada et Hashem besimcha uvetuv levav. That we didn't serve Hashem besimcha, with happiness. There's one way of serving Hashem that I'm just doing it like a robot, and there's another way of doing it that I'm serving Hashem with a lot of simcha. Even simcha is happiness. Even when things are bad, I'm still obligated in serving Hashem, and serving Hashem with happiness. If I serve Hashem and I do everything in the book I follow, but I do it with a sad face and with a heavy heart, one might say everything that you do is worthless because you're not doing it happy. And sometimes life is hard, and unfortunately we all experience hard days and hard times, but we still have to be happy. So even though we have to commemorate the destruction of the temple and we're supposed to be sad, but I'm still supposed to serve Hashem besimcha, happiness. And this is really why the reason of the destruction came, because we didn't serve Hashem in the state of happiness. Now, how do I really reach to the ultimate happiness? Happiness comes from belief, from emunah. If I don't have emunah, I don't have belief, and I don't trust Hashem, I will never be happy. I might be happy for a moment because I ate a good meal, or I drive a nice car, and I bought myself a new shirt. But this is not real happiness. The real happiness cannot be bought with anything physical. This is the mistake of many people. They say, I'll go on a vacation, I'll buy a new car, I'll buy new clothes, this will bring me happiness. Yeah, it will bring you a very short happiness, a very limited happiness, but the real happiness comes from inside, and the ultimate happiness comes only when I have belief in Hashem. And when something bad happens, then I have belief that it came from Hashem, it will not throw me off, I will still be happy. And again, it doesn't mean that I have to be dancing in the streets when I hear bad news, but the inside I'm happy, I believe that it's coming from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And this happiness comes only from belief. So when something is bad, if I want to fix or to balance myself, is working on my emunah, on my belief. Then it will balance it, not by trying to comfort myself with all sorts of pleasures. Now, it says, in our sages, they say, if you remember, Mishenichnas Adar, Marbim Besimcha, when Adar, the month of Adar comes, we have to increase happiness. Mishenichnas Av, Memaatim Besimcha, when Av comes, we have to diminish the happiness. Now we have to we don't have to diminish the happiness, meaning that no parties, no music, no smiles on my face. Rather, we have to diminish the things that are not good and positive by happiness. So I always will have things that are not good, negative things. One person has a weakness with stealing, another person has a weakness with lashon hara, another person has a weakness with looking to the wrong places. Every person has some type of a weakness in their avodat Hashem. They're very judgmental, they're very jealous, they're very angry, whatever it is. I have to diminish these unwanted actions. How do I do it? With simcha, with happiness. The only way to battle anything that is negative is only with happiness. That's why I always recommend, you like certain music, then listen to that music half an hour a day just to hype you up. You find something very amusing and funny, watch 5 minutes, 10 minutes of something funny, just that you can crack up for 5 minutes a day. Doesn't matter what it is, even if it's something very silly. And even if it's something that you would think that it's a waste of time, highly recommended to I'm saying the word crack up, but to laugh real, not like to see something that puts you in stitches for 10 minutes. Doesn't matter what it is, even if it's something very, very ridiculous or something that is, that one might say, listen, this is what makes you laugh. Yeah, that's what makes me laugh. I need to laugh a good 5 minutes that I can't breathe, and then I move on. And it's extremely healthy to have that. There's certain music that gets me very happy and excited. So once a day I will play 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I know it might not look the most suitable thing, but I play 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, some music that gets me very happy and very excited, because the neshama has to be happy, your soul has to be happy, and you inject this happiness with certain things that make you very excited. It's even though it's very external, but this arouses also the internal happiness. And the reason why our sages say that we have to decrease happiness in Av is not decreasing the happiness, it's just decreasing and starting to push off the negative things. How do I do that? With happiness. So simcha is one of the most important things that we need to apply. Now, we always talk about that every month has a certain sense. The sense of the month of Av is the sense of hearing. What's called chush hashmiyah, the sense of hearing. Amazingly, usually the sense and the tribe of the month are very parallel. The tribe of the month is Shimon, which Shimon comes from the word in Hebrew, shmiyah, to listen, to hear. So the sense of the month is hearing, and the tribe of the month is Shimon. Now, there's a very big difference between hearing and listening. Hearing, I can hear a lot of noises all day long. I can sit in a class now and I can hear the speaker. But there's a very big difference when I hear something than I listen. I can hear my wife nagging and complaining and kvetching how I behave, but I'm not really listening. Not in my case. I try to listen to my wife, and Baruch Hashem, she doesn't complain. But I'm saying a husband can listen to his wife and just hear his wife, and vice versa. But there's a very big difference between hearing somebody and listening to him. And there's a way to say it in Hebrew. In Hebrew it sounds much better, but in Hebrew the direct translation will be, you can listen to the voice or listen in the voice. No, see, in English it doesn't sound good. In Hebrew you would say lishmoa et kolo, I can hear the voice, or lishmoa bekolo, to listen to him. So in Hebrew it sounds much better. But the translation is that I can listen to the voice, I can hear the voice, but it doesn't mean I'm listening to the voice. So I can be in a lecture and listen, I can hear the voice of the speaker, or not listening to him. I can now preach to my child or try to educate my child, can go like this. He listens to my voice, but he's not listening to me. So there's a very big difference between the external part of the voice and the internal part of the voice, which that's again, it signifies the external and the internal. like the tet, that is the revealed good and the not revealed good. So there's the external voice, what I can just hear, and there's the voice that I'm actually listening to. Now, the teachings of a Kabbalah explains that I have the sense of hearing that it comes from the physical part, but there's also the spiritual part, the sense that belongs to my soul, that the soul is listening. This is called the shmi'a nafshit, the hearing that comes from my nefesh, from my soul. And what does it really mean? That I'm able to listen to something that doesn't have a voice. This is type of a meditation, that it's very easy to listen, to concentrate now on a voice. We can all be quiet now, and we can concentrate on what am I hearing. I'm hearing the air conditioning, I'm hearing the water noise, I can hear some noise from outside. So I can meditate on what I'm really hearing. But there's also what the soul hears, and that doesn't come with a sound. That will be the presence of Hashem. And one needs to know how to meditate to a point to listen to the presence of Hashem. And this is not a voice that will come in actual sound, but the soul also has the ability to listen. When I share my near-death experience, a lot of people ask me, how does the soul look? How did the sound sound like? Now I always explain it that I heard this, and I heard a voice, and there wasn't any voice, there wasn't any sound. It was very equal to a dream. In a dream, there's no voices in dreams. If you notice, there's no languages in dreams, and there's no voices, there's no sounds in dreams. You can listen to music in a dream, but there's no voice at all, there's no sound. But you hear something that is way beyond the level of actual sound. And this is a very deep level of listening to. And listening is not only used with your ear. Now, there is a Mishnah that says, Ezu hachacham halomed mikol adam. Who's a smart person? The one that can learn from every person. And it's a very deep teaching, because if you're looking at it in a very external way, a smart person is able to listen to every person and accept what they have to say, have to listen to them. Most people are so arrogant and so their ego is so out of control that they just transmit, they just project, they don't accept. And they can sit in front of a very wise person and they're not going to listen to what that person has to say, because they're just in a motion of transmitting, not in a motion of hearing. Hearing is a motion of receiving. You can make you make a noise with your mouth, you're transmitting with your mouth, but you can only receive with your ear. So this Mishnah, when it comes to say, Ezu hachacham, who's a wise person? The one that can learn from every human being. What does that mean? It having the ability to listen to somebody else, to sift what that person has to say, and believe it or not, every person has something smart to say. Every person I can learn from somebody. David HaMelech, King David says, Mikol melamdai eskalti. From every person that came to educate me, I became smarter. Why? Because I'm able to listen to somebody and let me hear what that person has to say. You know, because I might be good in these things, but each and every one of you is better than me in something. So I can learn from each individual something if I'm only going to be able to listen. Most people, they don't want to listen to other people. They hold by their opinion, what they know, what's good, and they're not willing to learn from another person. That's why a wise person is able to listen to every person, because every person has some type of a truth. And it doesn't matter right now the gender, doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the religion. A lot of people say, no, I don't want to go listen to that speaker, he's not Jewish. Yeah, but he might be extremely talented and wise in what he's teaching. Now, of course, that speaker will not teach you about the Torah, but he can teach you about something else that you need to know. It can be health, it can be how to make money, it can be how to do a certain trade. So every person has some type of truth that you can listen to. I mean, most people I would say that there's a ratio of what's coming out of their mouth that is truth and what is not. You have to be able to listen and to hear what is the truth of every person and what can I learn from that. And if I can't learn something, then I push it aside. And if I can learn because that person is speaking truth, why should I not listen to that person? Now, Kabbalah teaches us, we know that we have something that is called orla, a foreskin, that we have to do a circumcision, because that foreskin is covering something, and the orla, the foreskin, is stopping me from accepting something. The teachings of Kabbalah explain that there are 3 spiritual foreskins that they come on my soul, not on my body. The first one is the foreskin of my heart, that stops my heart from becoming soft, merciful, accepting, forgiving, and so forth. Then I have my foreskin that goes on my lips, that I'm very hard with, what comes out of my mouth. People, unfortunately, somebody cuts them in the street, right away it flies out. It's a very not nice word. And you bump your leg into the leg of the table, right away a not nice word comes out. And this is on the negative part, but the foreskin on my lips doesn't allow me to speak truth, doesn't allow me to praise somebody, it doesn't allow me to talk nice about somebody and build them up. Then I have the foreskin of my ears that will cover my ear from listening to what I need to hear. One person will come and tell me, listen, you are an amazing person, but you have a problem here. I will hear the amazing person, but not you have a problem here. And in many, many cases, I will have, this is called selective hearing. I will hear what is good for me to hear, but what is not good for me to hear, I don't want to hear. So I need to know how to remove this foreskin from my heart, from my lips, and from my ears. Because my ears are a very powerful tool that allows me to receive the wisdom of the people around me and to receive this godly revelation. I can see it with my eyes, but my ears are very, very special. Now, listening means that I'm looking for the truth. And unfortunately, there's a lot of deception in the world, there's a lot of lies in the world, but every person has some type of a truth in what they say. A person might have 90% lies, but 10% that what they say is truth. And the power of listening is to me to be able to focus on every person and hear something. And I try everywhere that I go, and Baruch Hashem I travel a lot, and I try from every encounter, what is Hashem showing me here? I must learn something. If Hashem brought me to this place, Hashem is showing me something. And the other day I came back from the last trip, I got off the train and I stopped a taxi. I was very tired. I pulled the chair back and I wanted to rest, and the taxi driver started talking to me. And in my mind I was like, leave me alone, I'm tired. I didn't sleep for 4 days. And he starts talking, and I didn't really feel like talking to him, but I said, okay, he's talking, let me listen. Happened to be that he was from one of the Arab villages somewhere here in the north. Had a very heavy Arab accent, and which right away, the Yetzer Hara, first reaction, why you don't need to hear him. What can he tell you? But I was like, okay, if the Yetzer Hara is telling me what can he tell you, it must be that he has to tell me something. First of all, after a short conversation, I looked at him and I told him, I think you're Jewish. And he's like, no, I'm Muslim, I'm from this village. I told him, no, I think you're Jewish. You should look into your lineage, because maybe your grandmother's Jewish, maybe you don't even know. But I told him, believe it or not, a lot of people that believe that they're Muslims are not, they're Jewish. So I suggest you look into your lineage. The way you look, the way you talk, what you're talking. I told him, you sound like you have a Jewish neshama. But either way, what he was saying was so amazing. And literally, you never know how Hashem chooses the one to give you a message. If you're arrogant, if you let your ego control you, you're letting that foreskin cover your ear, you might miss a lot of valuable information that Hashem decides to give you through the person that looks the most not common to come and give you this information. And that's why both our sages in the Mishnah says, Ezu HaChacham. Who's the wise person? The one who can learn from everybody. I can learn from everybody one good quality. More than that, David HaMelech, King David says, like I said, Mikol melamdai eskalti, I can learn from everybody. And this is the concept of listening. Now, I mentioned that the tribe of the month is the tribe of Shimon, which again comes from the word in Hebrew, lishmoa. When Leah said, Hashem heard my prayers, so she called her son Shimon. There's a very dominating sage that we love and admire, and his name is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And not by chance his name is Shimon, because his entire motion is the concept of lishmoa, is to listen. Now, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he was known to speak very soft. Not like me when I speak loud. I speak loud because I need people to hear me. Rabbi Shimon would speak very soft. If you wanted to hear what he had to say, you had to be like, what? What is he saying? So I found in the art of speaking, when I go to certain lectures, if I see I'm losing my crowd, I lower my voice. And then suddenly it's like, what is he saying? I missed something. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used to speak very soft. Because he spoke only secrets. He wanted that when you tell a secret, what do? You whisper. You know, the other day I told something to my daughter. There was a lot of people, and she tells me, you are the worst in telling secrets. Even when you whisper, you talk loud. So, and the funniest thing is, sometimes you talk to somebody and they talk something bad about somebody. He can be in a closed room, and suddenly they'll lower the voice. Why lowering the voice? He's not even here. So, when we want to tell a secret, suddenly our voice lowers down. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used to speak very, very soft. And the amazing thing is, if you learn the Talmud, then there's a certain slang that you use all the time. It's called tashma. Come and listen. If you have the habit of learning the Talmud, you know that there's even a band that they call themselves Tashma. Tashma is come and listen. And when the Talmud wants to give over halacha or a verdict, it will say Tashma, listen, come and listen. If you have the habit of learning Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai doesn't say Tashma. He says Tachazi, come and look. Doesn't say come and listen. The point is that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is the source of secrets, and when it comes to listening to a secret, then you have to open your ears, so to say. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, no, you have to open your eyes. It's not about opening your ears. That's why he would talk soft. It's about when you want to see something that is not revealed, you're opening your eyes. And opening your eyes because you need to see something that is way beyond what your eyes can really see. That's why I told you that the teachings of Kabbalah explains that there is the listening of your soul. You don't use your ear. You meditate, you focus. And you focus on something that your ear cannot hear, but your neshama, your soul can pick up on. Same thing in here. That the whole teachings of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is not to listen to what I have to say, it's to observe, it's to look inside and to see between the layers, how am I seeing the concealed level. And that's why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wanted to see the secret, not to hear the secret. That's why everything is concealed inside the letters. Now, the whole point of the Zohar, which is the foundation of the secret, is the light of the secret and not the voice, not the sound. That's why in meditation there's no sound, because you have to focus on something that you can't see it. What do we want to take from that is that we have to listen to the things that are obvious, and we have to look at the things that are concealed. The entire month seems very, very negative, but it comes to teach me the sense of the month is hearing, the power of the month that comes from the tribe is listening. Sorry, I said the sense is hearing, but the sense is the point of listening. I have to be able to look at something and not to look at the external, rather to look at the internal. A lot of people, they're searching constantly for messages from above. They want to hear the message between the lines. Now, on one of my lectures, standing outside of the hall, a very big lecture, I don't know, there was like 400 or 500 people, the rabbi is introducing me and I'm standing in the back, and this lady comes up to me and she tells me, you know Kabbalah? I told her, no, I mean I learned, but she was like, you know Kabbalah? And I was like, okay, no. So she was like, what do you see? I told her, I see a lady that is preventing now me from going on the stage when the rabbi just called me and I see, and she's like, no, what do you see? I said, I see 400 people in the crowd waiting for me to come on the stage. What do you mean, what do I see? She was like, am I ever going to get married? I told her, this is what you're asking me? You're looking for the, for the spooky stuff? You think that if I know Kabbalah, I'm going to be able to see if you're getting married or not? What kind of nonsense is that? Then we had one lecture. It was a very big lecture, and it's a group that invites me often. And Baruch Hashem, the group is the core of the lecture, but we open the doors and many people come. So I told her, before we schedule the lecture, what should I talk about? And she says, we like when you talk about these, mystical things. And I was like, okay, what do you want to hear? And she told me, last time when you taught us about the mystical reasons behind Kriyat Shema Lamita, we all started saying Kriyat Shema Lamita. And this is a group of religious women, born religious. And even though I don't like giving names to groups, they call themselves modern Orthodox. So they told me, they're all in their 40s and the 50s. They're like, we never ever said Kriyat Shema Lamita. Now that we know the mystical explanation behind it, it makes us want to do it. So I said, okay, let's learn about the mystical reasons about praying, maybe the mystical reasons about the morning prayers. I don't even know where I came up with that thought. I was like, how about we learn about the secrets of the hand lines and the structure of the face? Ooh, then I got all the thumbs up and the stars and all these positive mojos. So we end up doing a lecture about a little bit of explanations behind the lines in our hands. What do they mean? What I can learn from that about different, reincarnations, and then of course the structure of the face, how the eyes are shaped, the eyebrows are shaped, the nose, the bones. So it was a very popular lecture. Now, since it was hosted in somebody's house, and the house, I think, could only hold 100, 120 people, so we had to RSVP. Not everybody can come. If not, we would have 1,000 people. The funniest part was that all the emails that we got the next day, 500 emails, am I going to read people's hands? No, there's not going to be any hand reading there. We got another 500 emails. Can I schedule an appointment for a hand reading? No, we're not going to be reading hands here. And then, of course, this was the most popular lecture. We had to close it down at some point because we got to the max. But everybody wanted to hear the mystical, the secrets, which is interesting. But that's not the point. The point is not to try to bring down from above secrets. That's what a lot of people now like. They think that if they learn Kabbalah, they'll be able to talk to the world above and see things. The reality is that nobody in our generation really learns Kabbalah. All the places that tell you that they teach you Kabbalah, it's not Kabbalah. It's maybe the introduction of the introduction of the introduction of the summary of the introduction, that they just cover up a little bit of details of Kabbalah. There's only one place that really people learn Kabbalah, and this is in a yeshiva. It's called Yeshivat HaMekubalim in Yerushalayim. Go there, you'll see that everyone there is at least 80 years old, and they're holding books that I can guarantee to you that you're going to read one sentence, you're not going to understand one word of what it says, and these are the real Mekubalim that they learn Kabbalah. And trust me, I have a whole bookshelf with all the fancy books of Kabbalah, and I don't understand one word what it says there. So we really don't learn Kabbalah. We learn a little bit of the mysticism, a little bit, like a little baby, you put a little spoon in their mouth just to taste something. But unfortunately in our generation, everybody wants the shortcuts. Give me the interesting things so I know how to, instead of bringing things down from the world above, rather reveal the depth of this world. So the attitude in our generation is give me the shortcuts, give me the fancy stuff. People are religious for 2 days and they're already learning Zohar. And the point is, there's nothing wrong with learning the mysticism of the Torah. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm for it. But it's not about trying to bring messages from above. And people come and tell me, I'm dating this girl, that's her name, can you tell me if it fits? And that's not the point. Well, people constantly are looking for these shortcuts. What we're missing here is, instead of looking from above and trying to dig something from above, is to look to the depth of this world. And really everything in this is in this world, but it's not revealed. And the power of this month is that the concealment is so strong that it just looks very negative. One can say, the destruction of the temple is very negative. Yeah, you're right, it is negative, but it's, how positive it is. Because we had to have 2 temples to be destroyed. We had to go through it. We had to go through the exile. If you're looking at it in a very general way, in a very universal way, we had to go through this destruction. We had to go through the suffering. So the point is that to be able to see, to take the power of this month, is to be able to see the depth in things. Not to judge things by their cover, not to judge things by their external part. Rather, it's to look into the things that are beyond what we can see and beyond what we can hear. Sometimes somebody comes and tells you something, right away your guard, I should say your ego, but your guard jumps up. Whoa, no, I don't want to hear this right now because that person is telling me something that is wrong in me. The problem is that person is basically revealing to me something that I will never see myself. I will stand in front of the mirror, I will never know that I'm doing something that is not okay. So if I look at it in a very external way, that person is a mean person, is coming to rebuke me, is coming to put me down. But I can stop for a second and say, wait a minute, that person is actually revealing something to me that I need to hear. If you remember a few months ago, there's one video that one of my hairs from the peah was sticking out like Gargamel. And the whole class, I have an antenna. And then we put the video online, and my kids see the video, and they're like, look at you have a hair sticking out. And I'm looking, the video already got like 5,000 views, and I have an antenna sticking out. And I'm like, why could nobody tell me? All it takes is emotion. And somebody got very upset. And somebody that comes here not too often, but she emailed me, why couldn't any of the ladies tell you to tuck your hair? It looks ridiculous. So I said, you know what? You know how many people probably had a good laugh because of that? So I had to make a couple thousand people laugh. So my hair, came a little angel and it put it out, and now a couple thousand people looked and cracked up and then moved on. So I told her, no need to get upset. Obviously, that was supposed to happen. My kids got a good laugh, and I'm sure a few other 1,000 people were laughing, and that's it, and we move on. But the reality is, not that I'm encouraging myself to look funny. I don't need to make people laugh with hair sticking out. But if I would never see the video, or nobody in the crowd will tell me that, and I will just be walking with a sticking hair. And sometimes it happens that I get food stuck in the beard. Not too long ago, now in the last trip, I was in a big lecture. There was 2 lectures. First lecture, short break, another lecture, and then they had a lunch break, and then another lecture. So in the lunch break, they prepared for me a big plate. And then the lady says, here, why don't you sit down and eat? I told her, no, I'll eat later. And later on, my assistant that was with me told me, why aren't you sitting now? Now it's a good time to eat. I told her, you really think I'm going to sit down in front of 500 women and eat? It's not a nice sight to eat when you have a beard. My mouth has to open very wide. Half of it falls on the beard. Here you get a crumb. Here there's something. It's not a nice sight. So I told her, I eat privately where nobody sees. And sometimes, there's something stuck in the beard. Now people are like, so if I wouldn't have somebody going like that, I will never know something is stuck here, and imagine how ridiculous I would look. So the reality is that people come to tell me sometimes, not how ridiculous I look, is where I can refine myself. And unfortunately, my ego right away will jump out. Why is that person is now coming to rebuke me? But rather I need to look at something not in the very superficial and external way. I have to look at everything in a very deep way. Mainly when it comes to good and bad. Because unfortunately we all experience bad things. That's the reality. Loss of loved ones, loss of money, all sorts of things. We go through bad things. But Hashem is good for everything. Everything is good. Nothing that comes bad from Shamayim. And this is the month that one can summarize and say, this is the month of all the problems of Am Yisrael, of the Jews. 2 temples were destroyed. You go 3,000 years back, it's when the Meraglim, the spies, came back and they talked Lashon Hara about Israel. If you look at our history, this month is like a cursed month. The month comes to teach me that I have to look at things in a deeper level, to listen to something that not necessarily is heard by my ear, to look at something that is much more deeper than the surface, to be able to see the good in everything, to be able to see the good in every person. Every person will come, there's going to be something good in that person. There cannot be, okay, there are people that are 100% bad, but I'm talking about the normal people that we deal with. And this month has a very special power of listening. And if I'm able to, I don't have to listen to something necessarily with audio. You know, in Hebrew, to listen is called lakshiv, hakshava. Hakshava doesn't mean that I'm using my ear. I can look at something and use the same motion of looking and observing. It doesn't have to be with the sound. So what I want to take from this month, even though half of it already is almost past, but I still want to take from that the concept of able to listen, to be able to hear clear, to be able to hear between the words. People come and tell me things. Sometimes a child comes and tells you something, and he's in between the words is the message. And it's not necessarily going to come out straight out. A lot of people, they don't know how to express themselves the right way. They will express themselves, and in the sentence, 20% is what they want to tell you, but 80% is just a cover-up. The point I want to take from that is that Hashem only does good things. Every situation that a person is in, is Hashem wants you to learn something from that. He wants you to be observant and to look what is the good lesson in there. And the secret is, our sages say that these days of the days of Av will transform into the most positive days, is when I'm able to see the good in everything. That's how I'm able to empower the good in everything in creation. When I'm concentrating and focusing on the negative, then the negative is going to be the dominating part. But if I'm able to extract and to take the positive out of something and to focus on that positive, now the positive will be dominating, and then the positive will be the one that's active and shining. So this is the motion of the month, is to be able to look at something and just to see the positive. If I'm able to look at everything in creation and see God in it, then I'll see God in everything. And I'm going to be very connected to God. But if I'm able to look at everything in creation and I completely don't see anything godly in there, then I will never be connected to God, and I'm not going to see anything spiritual in it. Bezrat Hashem, we should have a beautiful month. And like our sages and our prophets say, that these days are going to turn into days of happiness. We should be able to see the positive in everything, and to be able to derive just happy moments from even the sad moments, and everything, so to say, sad or negative. Our sages say when Hashem closes the door, right away He opens another door. If you are focusing on the fact that one door closed, then you're only going to see the negative. But if you're focusing on the next door that is about to open, then you're able to see the positive in everything. Bezrat Hashem, we should from here on have just a positive month with good things. That's it. Today we can already listen to music, eat meat, dance. We can start partying. Somebody sent me a beautiful sticker now on Tisha B'Av, and it had a picture of this very juicy steak. And I was like, that's what you're sending me on the fast? A juicy steak? And it had underneath a slogan, and it says, we commemorate the destruction by not eating meat, when really the destruction happened because we ate each other like we eat meat. In Hebrew it sounds much better, that we eat each other. So it was very smart and very witty. Bezrat Hashem, we should only see the good in every person and not be judgmental and not look at the surface, rather dig deep down inside, and to be able to see how Hashem is good for everything. Everything that Hashem does is good. And Bezrat Hashem, when we're only going to focus on the good, we're only going to see the good, till the ultimate good in our life, which is the coming of Mashiach. Bezrat Hashem, we should see it very speedy in our days and with our own eyes. Have a beautiful, beautiful month.